Sorry I've been away for a while. It was my birthday and I had a few other problems, so I haven't made a video for the last couple of weeks, so do apologise. I have been working on this model for the last week and a half, quite a lot actually, and it's ended up being quite expensive because of so much stuff that I've had to buy for it. It's also took extensive modifications, so this model is called the Hunter. I'm not sure if it's a Hunter or a Huntress. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video quickly before I sort of prime over everything, because a few people did ask how do you prepare the model for LEDs, do I have to do anything special, and yes. This is at the stage now where I can show you what I would normally have to do, well, depending on the model really. This one's going to have smoke coming out of the horns, so this horn, once it's on here, will have smoke coming out here. I also have smoke coming out and drifting all the way down here, and this is thick white smoke, it looks fantastic. And the same in his mouth, it's coming out of a little hole at the back of his throat, and there's LEDs inside this mouth part to illuminate the smoke as it comes out. There's also going to be an LED inside the pipe here to illuminate the smoke a little bit here. Also got two LEDs in the head to illuminate all four eyes, and then there's going to be a cable running up the back through her boot, which is going to connect to her head, which is going to have a LED shoved up inside it. So the head's been painted black because I had to paint it. Primer's not enough to stop the light from breaking through the paint, so you have to prime it, paint it black maybe 2 or 3 times. I normally do it 3 or 4 times, just light coats, and that will stop the light from seeping through any of the gaps. If you do go over the eyes and get a bit of paint on the eyes, don't try scratching it off or anything like that. Just get like a really fine brush and some enamel thinner, paint thinner, because it's really powerful stuff, and just lightly just keep painting over the area until it wears off. When you put LEDs inside tiny little parts like this as well, the light tends to just shine straight through those eyes, so it should look like thingy out of X-Men with the eyes, or Superman with the laser beams coming out of his eyes. That's not what I wanted. I wanted a sort of dark, dim emerald glow, but clearly glowing. So what I did was I mixed up some epoxy resin, and if I tilt this right, you can see it's almost blackish in certain parts. That's where it's about 1 millimeter thick. So, and there's about 1 millimeter to 1.2 millimeters of epoxy resin inside this head. I basically just kept pouring it in through the back until it started to come out this hole here, and that told me that I had enough in there to dampen the light from the LED. This model is actually done by the same person that did the Dead Samurai, and it really is a fantastic model. So this is one of those models that can actually be painted in sections and then sort of put together at the last minute. So it slots together fantastic. So she's going to have glowing green eyes. Like I said, I'm not going to put the whole thing together, but she's got like really cool crossbows. She's got 2 of them, and her armour, the detail is fantastic. So I've actually ordered a lot of paints to do this model. I mean a lot of paints. Hopefully I should be painting her next week, or start painting her next week, because all this prep work will be finished. But I'll just show you how I run the LEDs through a body. So obviously with the LEDs being in a head, the cable's got to run all the way through a body. Like this model, I've not actually sanded anything. This model just fit, every single piece just fits together beautifully. It's been very well designed. So you don't want to try running a cable the length of this. So you do each section. You just basically feed a piece of wire through there. There we go. Once you've got the piece of wire through, attach the wire that you want to put through this part. So we're going to go from a head down to a waist. So you super glue, and you have to super glue it. Using tape doesn't work, so just a little dab of super glue on there, and then just pull the cable through until it comes out the bottom. Normally I would do the same again, so I would join those two cables to the cable that I put in this section, and then I would pull it all the way down through the boot and just wire it up through the base of the model. But unfortunately this model, it wouldn't go around the corner, so I had to go down the heel. So I had to Dremel out the back of the heel, and that meant these cables aren't going to pull, so they're going to have to pull up. So I'm going to feed a cable down the legs, solder these together, and when I pull the cable, it will pull these wires up the boot and out the top. So when I do this model, I have a join here and another set coming out the top. I will join those together and then shove any excess into the model basically, and that's how I would do it. I'll probably do the top half of the body and the bottom half is whole pieces, apart from the armour. So I'll just show you inside the model. So remove this one, just zoom it in a bit. So as you can see, there's a little hole here. I'll try and go again. There we go. This is thicker fish tank piping. I believe it's 10mm internal ID. So this pipe is actually really difficult to connect to these 3D prints. So what I did was I squished some milliput up into the part before I glued all this together, and I basically just squashed the imprint into the milliput, removed the pipe, and then let the milliput dry overnight. The next day I put some super glue on that milliput, held the pipe against it. That's not going to hold it, but it will hold it long enough that you can put milliput all the way around the outside of that pipe. You've got to leave it another night, and then that's set and it's not moving. It's just part of the model. Then it's all epoxy. And then you can bend the pipe. Try, if you're going to, depending on which way you're going to bend the pipe, don't go against the bend because it will cause kinks when you reach the corners. So if the pipe's bending this way, try and keep it going the way that it wants to go on as it's come off the roll. So if as soon as you start to go this way, it will kink really quick, as opposed to this way where it won't kink as much. So why use a thicker tubing if it's so difficult when it would be much easier to use this little piping? Because this piping sort of shoots the smoke out way too fast, and instead of it coming out with a little bit of a puff and then drifting down the base and crawling over the sort of rock terrain, it will just sort of spray out of the mouth. It comes out about here and then you get the cloud, and it doesn't look very good. So by going from a small pipe to a big pipe, so just before it reaches the end, so the small pipes go about here. It sort of slows it down, and then it has to come out by its own force. And it makes it much slower, and it's much thicker and denser smoke. And to make it come out these vents, you can't just glue the next part on, obviously, because if we just glued that on, nothing would come out. So what I do is use milliput. So this is just blue tack, but say if this is milliput, sort of go around the edge, blocking off anywhere that I don't want. So I don't want to go back down that hole. So we block that off, bring that all the way around here, and then when we stick this on, push down heavy on the back. Obviously we push down a lot more than that, but it gives you that little hole, which is where the smoke's going to come out of. Just like there's a little tiny gap on this one here. You also add an LED because we've got the thicker tubing. Not only can you slide this up inside, but you can slide an LED up inside. You don't want to make the LED visible, you want to stop it just short of the hole. Very little light escapes, and it's probably not worth doing, but I've done it just in case I can see it, so it adds to that extra little bit of effect. I'll take the head off first. I use the glass paints that I used on the eyes, so I use the epoxy on the eyes. On the face I used glass paints, so I used some of these. I used crimson, and I just dabbed it around the inside, anywhere where I was planning on putting lights. So you can see here, there's some little metal wires. They are there, that's just modelling wires, so I can bend my LEDs into whatever position I like. Because you can't just whack LEDs in there and expect it to look great. And printer resin, even when you've dyed it deep red, it's not very good when you just pass. Light just tends to pass straight through it because it's not very thick. So you can see how thick, how black. That's red, but it looks almost black. That's the glass paints. And what I do is, once you've painted around the inside area where you might want any highlights to come through red, once you've let it dry to about 90%, I sort of dip my cocktail sticks in the pot and then just sort of blob it onto each eyeball section. It's going to roll off and it's going to fall into some of the other grooves, but it definitely gives you a change in tone. So like I say about the LEDs, I use these little posts. So I basically just take some, you get a set of three sets of modelling wire in a set from Amazon. I think it's about $8.99, and you get half a mil, 1 mil, 2 mil or something like that. And all you do is put a kink in it like that, and then just whack some milliput on it and pin it to the back of whatever you're planning on putting an LED inside. Then you can just put some tape around an LED, hook it onto the post. I'm not going to hook this one on because I don't want it on there yet. And you can just move the post wherever you like. So you see this LED here, I can move it forwards, backwards, left, right. If I want to go closer, I can just nudge it forward. If I want to go further back, I can just push it further back. because you want to angle it between both eyes. So once this is painted like rock colour and the eyes, I'm doing all the details on the eyes, I want little bits of red glowing through. And I don't want one glowing up more than the other, just like on the model. I don't want one eye glowing up more than the other. So it's good to be able to position the LEDs or alter the position. If we just take a look inside here, you can see each connection point has got the thicker pipe, so I can just, this is the actual piece that's going to go in there. So it sort of goes like that. Obviously these go in a lot further. And there's also going to be, like I say, LEDs running up all of these channels. These will be on all the time, but this LED will only come on at the back of the throat when you press the remote. I'm also going to have two LEDs down here. There's two small drill holes which are made. That's going to have the LEDs pointing up to illuminate the smoke as it comes out of the mouth. Just why this is linked up, I'll probably be able to show you actually. I'm not going to feed these cables through, I'm just going to pull that on there. So yeah, it should be pretty funky when it's done. I've still got a few things to work on, like I say. I pre-primed some of it. I say pre-primed because I've not primed it properly. I just spray around it just to show up any areas that are going to need a little bit of work to, make them look good. And then I will go around this with some gravel and dirt and stuff and bomb that onto the base at this stage, and then I will basically paint all that up and make it look like sulfur deposits as the smoke's running all over everything. And I might even have the ultrasonics working in here as well, because I've already had those up and running and it works fantastic. You get like a nice mist. I'm not sure how it'll affect the smoke, if it'll just make it go down to the ground. I'm also not sure where I'm mounting the vape machine, so I'll just move this out of the way now. All the LEDs, no matter where they break off and join to, they will all come back to one wiring block, which will go to this 12 volt supply. So these will go to this, and then I'll just have two cables coming off which will go to this, along with this. So this is this little board is from eBay. I think it's about £2.25 or something like that, and it's going to convert 12 volts to 5 volts USB. So, and that means I can have everything running off the mains. This little transmitter, receiver, these are from Amazon. It's £14. If you go to AliExpress, you can get it for £1 less. If you can be bothered to wait 3 weeks postage. The pumps are also from Amazon. They come in a twin pack. and they are £11. And the vape pen you can pick up at supermarkets and stuff. It's just the 88 vape, and the second you get it, unscrew it and just chuck away the battery. You don't need anything from the battery, the back part, because the battery on these are crap. You have to use their charger, so by the time you've modified it, I'm like, nah. Also, when you've got it on a relay, which you're going to have it on a relay because you can't have it on a turn on and off, because if you just turn it on, it's going to burn through your coil in a few, 15-20 seconds, your coil is going to be frazzled. So you've got to have it on the momentary push button, and that's why I wired it to the mains and got rid of the battery. Also, this drains a small amount of the current. It doesn't take much. It's like a 2-volt holding, I think it's 2 volts or something like that. It's half of its minimum relay voltage that makes the relay work. So this does 4 volts, 6 volts, 8 volts and 12 volts. Well, it's actually running off 5 volts. So when it's running, basically when it's running off the battery, it's permanently draining because it's waiting for a signal. It's staying active, and I found that the battery would be drained after a couple of days, even whether you used it or not. You can have it linked permanently on charge, and that works, but it just means you can either put all of this, plus you need to have the USB cable in there as well, plus this as well. So all I've done is took away this and just linked everything up directly, and that's given me a little bit more power on the pump, and I get more smoke. It's between these aren't 3.7 volts, they're actually 4.2 volts. They drop down to 3.7, but when you first start using your vape pen, it will be running at about 4 volts after a full charge, 4.2. So increasing it to 5 volts permanently is not a big deal. It also means you've got more power to the pump, and that's why we get quite a lot of smoke from just one little 6-volt pump. But yeah, that's about it really. To get more smoke out of the mix, what I did is take my normal vape mix and I added an extra 30% vegetable glycerin. This is lab grade, 99% pure. It's just vegetable glycerin. That's basically what vape fluid is made of. Normally vape mixers are made 70-30. So you use distilled water to thin them down. But I want smoke not to smoke it, so adding the extra vegetable glycerin, it hasn't increased the thickness of the liquid at all, but it gives me a much thicker smoke. So yeah, so for those that was interested in the electronic side of things and how I do it, that's basically what goes off inside the model, and some of the work that I have to do to prepare the model for LEDs. It's not like a quick easy process, and sometimes you can really end up having to slice up the parts, but Millerput's pretty amazing. I mean, that model's gone through three of these tubes, 3 of these packets. So as you can see, I go through quite a lot. I had to order 2 more packets yesterday, which are these 2. So this is the last one. This one's great for sculpting because it's much smoother. This one is just standard. It's not as good for sculpting, but it doesn't leave white residue on over everything. So anywhere where you see like this white residue, powdery effect, that's the Millerput white. You see how his teeth look, but it doesn't mean anything. Once you start spraying it up, that just spray straight over it. It was all over the place. It's nothing, but it does look a bit but yeah. So I hope you find some of that useful. If you did, please like, and the next time you see this, which should be in a few days, it will all be primed and we will be painting it. So yeah, I will catch you later.